Welcome back, everybody, to the Chroncast. I'm your host, Alex Rickman, editor and head writer at Canucks Chronicles and club reporter at Altitude FC. As always, here with Kaja Antic from the Hockey News. Kaja, how's it going?
Good.
Excellent. So let's just get right into it, talking about the Canucks' kind of recent form since coming back from the holiday break. Not back-to-back losses. They won last night. What am I talking about? We're also fresh off a holiday break, so we're going to be a little rusty this episode. A 6-3 loss on home ice in their first game back, but a shootout win last night in Seattle. Seems to me like the new player bump is coming to a little bit of an end and things are starting to come back down to earth, but it is definitely looking a little different since the Quinn Hughes trade, eh?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, it's been different. Mainly Liam Ogren in a shootout is unstoppable, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Lankinen refuses to be stopped as well in the shootout.
Statistically the best shootout goalie in NHL history.
That's insane. And it's on the Canucks.
Yeah.
That's horrible for him. I feel for him.
I feel for a lot of these guys right now. Yeah, it's
not a Vanderkane.
It's been different ever since we made that trade in really a multitude of ways. Just feels...
Mm-hmm.
The hockey being played is a lot different. There have still been some meltdown games, such as the one against Philadelphia right before the break and against San Jose, where it just looked like nothing could go right. But the process definitely does seem better. Not affecting results too much, as I pull up the standings and see that we are 30th in the NHL right now still, only a point out of last place. So, like...
Impressive.
My main worry right now with the Canucks, and tell me if this is at all reciprocated, is that they're going to do what they do in a lot of years and choose to go on heaters at two inopportune moments. One right before the trade deadline, before they've been mathematically eliminated, that leads to ownership saying, hold on, we got a shot at the playoffs, don't trade anything out.
Mm-hmm.
And a second one right after we get mathematically eliminated from the playoffs that just screws up draft position. Now, from what we've heard... That's not on the cards this year, and they do plan to just let things go and not focus on contending this or next year.
Hybrid.
As we are doing a hybrid rebuild. So my main question for you here. What?
Mm-hmm.
What does that... What does hybrid rebuild mean?
There was an accident with a Prius, and they found it on the ICBC auction website, and then they decided to rebuild it as a team, as team building efforts, and also they're going to fold.
Yeah, like,
I don't know. I had no idea where that was going.
Okay, fair enough. To me, this kind of feels like... Because in the last few weeks, we've heard the team's direction going forward called absolutely everything. We've heard stay competitive, we've heard retool, we've heard rebuild, we've heard hybrid rebuild now, we've heard this, we've heard that. The reporting from the insiders is more or less unchanged through all of this, saying that the plan is focus on a rebuild, but one with a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's hit a point where...
It's night.
I don't care what you call it. If you call it staying competitive, if you call it a rebuild, if you call it a retool, if you call it a hybrid rebuild, if you call it Steve, I don't care what it is. Just get it right, please, for the love of God. No shortcuts this time during our Steve. Just give this team a direction and a future of some sort.
What did Steve do to you?
I don't know, I have an uncle named Steve who takes me to Canucks games sometimes, so I thought of him.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out Uncle Steve.
Why do you torture your nephew?
But yeah, like, what are your thoughts here? What do you think?
As long as they keep blockbuster, I'm happy. I don't know. I'm like, at this point, I'm just so like, whatever this team does, it's going to fall apart regardless. So They're cursed.
It's likely. They were actually at one point willing to use the rebuild word, and now even if they've thrown hybrid in front of it, it's still actually being said, which gives me some shred of hope that something could be different this time. With that being said, I'm keeping my expectations modest right now in terms of what we're actually going to see, just because of the long history this organization has had of either taking shortcuts in a rebuild or flat out refusing to go into a rebuild.
By using the hybrid word, they have the range now to go to 600 kilometers on the full tank rather than 400. I watch a lot of sports, so I watch a lot of car commercials. So
this episode of the Chroncast is brought to you by the Honda HR-V. No, it isn't. I mean, if Honda would like to start sponsoring us, I'd...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the hybrid CR-V.
Okay, well, that's stupid. When they stopped making the CR-Vs look like RAV4s, that's when I decided to stop liking that. My dad had a CR-V when I was growing up, and I really liked that one. And then they made them circular. I hate cars that are circular. I
have an Accord. That's not relevant.
Sokovia Accords?
No, it's the Honda Accords.
Have you watched Captain America Civil War?
Not in a while.
Okay. It is a good movie, except it should be an Iron Man or Avengers movie, not a Captain America movie. But that's besides the point.
We are going off topic.
It talks too much about Tony Stark's emotional baggage. And I really don't give that much of a crap about Tony Stark. He's a billionaire. Why should he have feelings?
This has been Captain America Civil War with the Chroncast.
Give me more yaoi, Marvel.
I
tried to say that with a straight face.
We are 7 minutes into the show.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if we're 6 either. You're done.
One normal episode of the show.
No, never!
That's a good point. We have too much ADHD to do that.
I did take my meds today.
I don't have meds.
Would you like Vyvanse?
No.
Just to get a joke. Yeah.
Wow, we've been sidetracked.
Yeah. It's funny, I have to take meds to remember to take my meds.
So just on kind of that hybrid rebuild thing, another thing we've heard is that UFAs are likely to be moved out, which would include your favorite Canuck, Evander Kane.
Yeah!
We have heard some reports, I forget who this was from, unfortunately, so I would need to go back and check, that Kane's value could be similar to some of the trades we were seeing before the roster freeze on the trade deadline, including guys like Mason Marchment, and could fetch the Canucks.
I forgot he got traded.
Could potentially lead to a situation in which the Canucks are able to trade Evander Kane for a second-round pick.
He's not worth a half-full bag of Lay's, man.
No, but one, as I was talking about the other day with one of our other Canucks Chronicles people, Trevor, all it takes is one dumb GM to make that trade happen.
And there are so many dumb GMs.
Because for as many good GMs as there are in the league, there is at least one dumb GM to match all of them.
Who's a good GM?
And two... Sorry?
I was about to say who's a good GM.
Jim Nill. Bill Zito.
Julian Brisebois.
Yeah. Anyway.
There's a few.
So that, combined with Kane having a profile that teams like in the postseason with his size, as well as having had some offensive success in the playoffs before.
And that's the only time he played last year, anyway.
Yeah. And did,
schmoozing in Washington, D.C.
to his credit, put up solid numbers in the postseason, at least through the first couple rounds for Edmonton.
Yeah.
if we can land a second-round pick for Evander Kane, I will go help him pack. I will drive him to the airport myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Sheriff's fan.
I openly have hated that trade since the day we made it.
Mm-hmm.
If we do turn it into a second-round pick, credit to the front office, honestly. I still hate that we did it, but at least there is some kind of a positive impact coming back to this team in that you effectively turned a fourth into a second and ceased to have Evander Kane on your roster to boot. For any longer than you have to.
To gold, you mean?
What?
C'est la boo!
Wow.
Look, this is what happens when
when we take the two most ADHD people in Canucks media and put microphones in front of them.
Yeah, there's probably a few more. There's definitely a few more.
Other reports today coming from Pierre LeBrun showing that the Dallas Stars have kicked tires on Kiefer Sherwood and that Maverick Bourque could be potentially a piece coming back to Vancouver in that trade.
Maverick Bourque.
Now, in my opinion, Bourque on his own, definitely not enough. 23-year-old. I think he's got a future as, decent third liner, but I think with Sherwood's value being expected to be as high as it is, you would also need a first-round pick or something equivalent to get him back, and I don't think Bourque matches that description.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I wonder when we're going to see the trigger pulled on this, a Kane deal, even a deal for someone like maybe Connor Garland. Just interested to see when the trigger gets pulled to make some more moves happen.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the All-Star break this year to make the trade, which is their prerogative the last few years.
Yep.
But they did it last year just ahead of the Four Nations break.
Mm-hmm.
Is when they pulled the trigger, so maybe it's near the Olympics. When's the trade deadline?
I'm going to look that up quickly.
Isn't it like March 8th or something because of the Olympics this year?
NHL trade deadline, March 6th.
Okay, I suppose.
And I mean, we've seen, certainly in this organization and also in the past for years, we've seen that Jim Rutherford doesn't like to wait until the trade deadline. He likes to get things done early.
Yeah, the Canucks made one trade at the trade deadline last year, and it was sending Carson Soucy to the New York Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I forgot he was a Canuck.
Same, pretty much. So, on the one hand, I feel like we probably aren't going to have to wait a crazy long amount of time to see some more action just because of Rutherford's history.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, we got the big one out of the way, so maybe there's a little bit more rest now that the Hughes trade has happened. But again, there is still a lot of business to take care of, a lot of pending UFAs who will have some value to them, lots of other veteran players who you could potentially see something happen with. Looking particularly at Connor Garland, Jake DeBrusk, and Thatcher Demko for those guys.
Yeah.
And I want to just pivot to talking about one of the three I just mentioned, because we saw last night a couple of lineup changes for the Canucks, which were interesting. So I think, on the one hand, it made sense absolutely to get Niels Höglander and Aatu Ratu back into the lineup. I don't know why Ratu in particular was being benched in the first place. Being our best face-off man, pretty solid defensively.
Didn't they take Pettersson out of overtime to put in Ratu for the
yes, there was a big defensive zone face-off. They brought Ratu in because he is the best face-off man on the team, and then just left him out there for the shift, which he also was the one that made the clearance to kill Seattle's threat on that play.
He's quite good.
He's a really good player. So getting him in particular back into the lineup makes a ton of sense, especially with his age and him having, a future here.
Mm-hmm.
Good to give him actual minutes. Out of the lineup, we saw David Kampf come out, which I can see the arguments for and against. I definitely think he has brought something because he's been our other reliable face-off guy and has been massive towards getting our penalty kill to functionality. We took what was clearly the worst unit in the league before he got here and made it, a pretty okay penalty kill. But also the usage he's been getting this season has been just agonizing to see him getting top 6 opportunities ahead of other guys who, like, let's face it, David Kampf's stick is where offense goes to die.
Mm-hmm.
If you had someone like Max Sasson, someone like Atu Ratu getting those top 6 opportunities when guys were out and before we had Marco Rossi, you wonder what else could have happened toward... And I think that has factored into the reason the other guy was scratched. Jake DeBrusk was the other healthy scratch, which is an interesting one. Because on the one hand, he has been kind of invisible of late. But on the other, one that is kind of part of the Jake DeBrusk experience. He's a streaky player in general. And two...
Which they knew when they got him.
Yeah. The players he's been playing with, one, have either also gone cold or been... guys who should not by any means be getting top 6 opportunities centering his line. Largely being used on a line with David Kampf, who, again, not a player who should ever be getting a top 6 opportunity. And Brock Besser, who also just has been snake-bitten of late, unable to get a puck into the net.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering with DeBrusk, if we see him back in the lineup tonight for Rick Tocchet, Noah Julesen's return to Vancouver as we take on the Philadelphia Flyers. And maybe they just wanted him to watch a game to get kind of an idea or something.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that work with certain players under Tocchet, so maybe Foot's trying to do the same thing here. Because he scratched a few guys, right? He scratched Joshua. Yeah. Was this the 23-24 season?
I forget. Probably would have been last season, though, if Joshua was one of them.
No, I feel like it was the year that the Canucks... I don't remember. Yeah. It was a choice to scratch DeBrusk. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm glad Hoglander got some minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The David Kampf experience has been an issue. Is it better or worse than the Daniel Sprong experience?
It's interesting, too, because we had some people wondering if the scratching could be trade-related for the two of them. I really doubt it right now.
Yeah.
Especially because, this was yesterday and we haven't seen a deal as of 12:45 today. With that being said, the moment I hit upload on this podcast, you never know what'll happen.
Surprise! Connor Garland is getting sent to Mormon Utopia.
But I think that's another reason why I would like to see us kind of hurry up and get Sherwood deal, Kane deal, maybe even a Garland deal done.
Demko deal.
Is so that we don't have to be scratching Jake DeBrusk to get Nils Hoglander in the lineup. That we're not seeing Ratu spend weeks in the press box for, again, really no apparent reason.
For being good. Is he being put in the press box because Adam Foote is committed to the tank?
No, I mean, because I heard there were concerns about his defensive play, but he's he's being fine defensively.
And you're playing Evander Kane still?
And we're giving Evander Kane top 6 minutes, who is... I've seen pylons move faster than Evander Kane.
I can move faster than him. I've never used hockey skates.
Yeah, he has the speed of a fire hydrant.
If you put my dog out on the ice, he could move faster.
Yeah,
I was dog sitting a Chihuahua this week. He hates everything that's cold.
Yeah.
He would go faster than Evander Kane on the ice. He is 7.5 pounds of pure rage.
Yeah, but we're also seeing Ratu being benched for supposedly not being trustworthy on defense, which on its own is laughable. He's fine at worst. He's also, again, the best face-off guy on this team, so when you have those penalty kill minutes, you have those important defensive zone draws, there is no one who is better to have on the ice on the Canucks than Atu Ratu. And you're seeing David Kampf playing in the top 6. I get that he's great defensively. He is completely and utterly... I mean, listen, he's better than I would be offensively in the NHL. But that's not saying much. David Kampf is not a player who you can have in a top 6 of any NHL organization looking to get any modicum of respect from anyone. Especially when you take Ratu, who I think is a pretty good third-line center already, and have him not playing. Why is that not the guy being promoted to the second line when you need a center because Elias Pettersson is out and because Marco Rossi wasn't on the team for quite a while?
I don't know. I don't trust men named Adam, so. Wait, that was bad.
And, I mean, before we move on to other hockey topics, Rick Tocchet back in town tonight. Rick Tocchet back in town tonight for his return to Vancouver after leaving us in the offseason for the Philadelphia Flyers. What kind of a reception do you expect him to get in Vancouver?
A good one, unfortunately. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about Rick Tocchet, and what my mom used to tell me when I was a kid, if you don't have any nice things to say, don't say them at all. But I'm a podcaster, so I hope someone decides to shine his bald head. Really hard. And
I wonder what... Go ahead.
I hope the thank you Noah Juleson video is queued.
I was gonna say, I wonder what they do for them. I wouldn't be surprised if Juleson doesn't get a video, but gets like a little thing on the Jumbotron that's just saying, hey, welcome back, because I know that's what they did for Troy Stetcher. It wasn't a video, but it was just a little welcome back message on the Jumbotron.
Troy Stetcher meant more to this organization, man.
I guess the thing is,
did he mean more to me?
Because, like, the video tribute, I think, is kind of reserved for a certain class of player.
Mm-hmm.
More like the actual star than just the fan favorite. Or, in Juleson's case, the, coach's favorite.
Some people liked him. Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if those two got, put together in the welcome back thing, and Noah Juleson was, on Tocchet's shoulder in the graphic, like a little parrot.
It would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about some international hockey.
Wait. Welcome back videos. Remember, I wanted to discuss this. Joel Quenneville, I hope all edges of your pillow are warm as hell for the rest of your life. What do you mean you had to take Chris Kreider, Mr. Ranger, away from watching his welcome back video from the organization he gave everything to talk about a neutral zone draw? You suck. You should not have been back in this freaking league, okay? Old man, leave, and leave that man alone, okay? God damn it. Let him have his moment at MSG, not spend most of it talking about a stupid play. And, I'm a Chris Kreider defender till the day I die. What the hell, Joel? Anyway.
That's all? Okay.
Yep, that was the rant.
So, international hockey. Let's first talk about... Let's do the Olympics first. So, Canada's roster set to be announced tomorrow. Mm-hmm. From what we know right now, we'll talk about the forward core first here. Mm-hmm. According to reports this morning, 13 out of 14 Team Canada forward spots are believed to be locked up. So, that would be confirmed already by Hockey Canada, of course, Sidney Crosby, Excuse me, I nearly said Connor McKinnon.
I didn't know they got married.
Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Braden Point, and Sam Reinhart.
Sorry.
No spoilers, Kaja. Leaked by Fanatics last night in,
of course,
a move that can only be pulled off by Fanatics, truly.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, and Nick Suzuki have been confirmed, which
Not shocking.
Assuming those leaks are accurate, very happy to see Suzuki on there. I thought he seemed like one of the guys who might have been on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's actually making it, that's great news for me.
Considering he didn't make it for the formations, right? And that was
he did not know. He was one of the controversial ones left off the roster.
That was a big point of contention.
Yeah. And then Friedman this morning has said that 5 players he would consider locks to make it. Those players are, and just give me your reactions to these one as I say them.
Mm-hmm.
Macklin Celebrini.
Shocked!
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, if he wasn't a lock, then I was going to riot.
No, I mean, he absolutely had to be on this roster.
Yeah.
I think there's no logical world in which he didn't make it with what he's doing this season, what he's done last season.
And him and Crosby have, like, a connection, too, right? So, from the World Championships.
Yeah, Crosby, and McKinnon played together at the World Championships.
And I think he trains
so love to see that.
I think he trained.
I think they have done some off-season training together, yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was last off-season or the off-season before. I think it was last off-season. Because that would have made sense. But yeah, he went. I think him and Will Smith went.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
As opposed to Dodgers catcher Will Smith. Brandon Hagel.
Okay.
You know, after the fight he got into in the game against Team USA before the final at the Four Nations, he became my hero, so...
Who did he fight again? Was it Miller?
I think his was the Miller fight. I kind of forget which one was which.
It all happened so fast. I just know JT Miller punched himself in the face, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, with the rapid succession of the 3 fights, I kind of forget who fought who, but yep. Sam Bennett.
That's my reaction.
Makes sense to me because he is, I think, a pretty ideal guy to have on a 4th line for a tournament like this.
Does he know
plus,
IIHF rules? So he can't kill people?
That'll be interesting. Plus, he does give good performances in those big games, and you need that at this tournament.
Yeah.
Mark Stone.
That's a choice.
Yeah, I don't necessarily... With these last 2, Stone and the next one I'm going to say, it's both a case of I don't necessarily hate that they're there, but some of the guys being left off the list to make room for them don't make a whole ton of sense to me.
I think they're also trying to give opportunities to guys that missed it.
And especially with the IIHF rules thing and the fact that IIH refs are 10-ply. Having Tom Wilson on this roster is a little...
God forbid they hate head trauma, Alex. Jesus Christ. Like, no, I like the IIHF rules.
Oh, I hate them.
No, I know. Most people that watch North American hockey do. I don't think it's too soft. I think it's actually protecting players. You don't need to see teenagers trying to give each other permanent head trauma.
So, okay. The stuff about stricter rules on head trauma in particular, I don't mind.
And on body checks, it's such a physically taxing sport, and I feel like people always forget about that. But
what
it's just,
frustrates me is getting used to NHL hockey and seeing some of the, things that would absolutely never be called in the NHL. Not factoring in the headshots, because I do think they actually do a better job of enforcing those than the NHL.
Yeah, because they actually enforce
But a lot of the other stuff that is just, hockey does need to have a physical element, and I think a lot of that gets taken away by some really soft calls.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think also with IIH refs, another thing that really pissed me off is they struggle to call things consistently.
Well, yeah, so they're like the NHL refs, pretty much.
No, but I'm saying this as somebody who already thinks NHL refs are bad.
Mm-hmm.
IIHF refs make NHL refs look like a beautiful gold standard of officiating in terms of consistency. Because you'll see the exact same thing happen 2 minutes apart, both right in front of the referee's face, get called 2 completely different ways in the IIHF.
Okay.
Or one of the calls against... I forget if it was in the Latvia game in the World Juniors, which we'll be touching on a little bit in a second, where a Czech or a Latvian player, this actually went in Canada's favor too, got ejected for something that I think probably should have just been 2 minutes at most.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Canadian player did the exact same thing and got no call for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the exact same hit, led to an ejection, and then nothing. That's unfortunately common in the IIHF, I find.
Yeah.
To a stronger degree than it is in the NHL. But also, again, with some of the ways these things are called, having all of, like, Bennett, Stone, and Wilson making it could get a little interesting, because if games are getting testy, you wonder what the IIHF is going to do about some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that leaves one more forward spot open on the roster, without several guys who I would quite like to see being in contention.
Like I said, I think they're doing the thing where it's just like, okay, well, they're not, they're giving older guys shots because they refuse to allow them into the Olympics. Like, I forgot that 2018 is when that started.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did Russia win in 2018? And then I remember, because they had Sorokin and Shesterkin in net when Shesterkin was still good. Who are the young guys that you think? Who are the guys that you think should be included?
The 3 or 4 that jump off the page most to me are, I would say, Bedard is the number 1, who I think should be a lock. Even if he is injured right now, he's expected to be back by the Olympics, and with how he's been playing lately, my concern with Bedard, and why I wouldn't have necessarily had him projected on the roster at the start of the season, was because he's not a guy who you could put into the bottom 6 because of his lack of a defensive game, and he would require top 6 minutes.
Yeah, and when you have players like a McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby...
When you have some of these guys, you can't necessarily give him those minutes. The thing is, he's played well enough this year where I would give him those top 6 minutes. He's been good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can put him on your first or second line as a winger with McKinnon, with McDavid, with Crosby or something, and it would work.
It's gotta be Mark Stone in those top 6 minutes.
But the other ones I would look at are partly due to biases, I will admit, Bo Horvat.
Oh, yeah, right.
I would love to see Horvat on this. He's been, again, fantastic this year. I think he's worth a shot.
I think he's leading the Isles in scoring.
Believe he is. Maybe Mark Scheifele, or maybe...
I was gonna say
Look at the season Morgan Geekie is having.
It's so weird. It's so weird. I had no idea who this guy was.
His shot is a laser.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not give this kid a shot? Unclear right now what's expected to be happening on the defense for Canada.
Tyler Myers first pair. Tyler Myers.
I think Kaja wants Tyler Myers on the first pair.
Yeah! Okay, it's gonna be Kale. It'll
be Makar and Taze.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's a lock, pretty much.
We've heard recently that Matthew Schaefer could potentially be in consideration for an Olympic spot, which, whether or not he makes it with... There's a lot of good defensemen who could get in. I could see him being cut, one, because of the politics of Hockey Canada and the fact that they are probably going to try to give some of the older guys priority because they missed out, even if that's a stupid way to run your organization if you're trying to win a tournament.
Well, it's Hockey Canada.
But also there is
how to do things.
A lot of talent who could be viewed as better and more experienced than Schaefer, where I'm like, okay, but I would love to see it if he could. I think, first
Neil
of all,
Pionk
would be... I don't know if we've had an 18-year-old make the Olympic roster. Certainly not in a year where NHLers were going.
Yeah, I'm going to look this up now.
We're going to check on this. But also, like,
talking.
I do think he is probably good enough to play on this Olympic team. Certainly with the rookie year he's been having. This is going to be a strong defensive group, but I think I lost track of where that sentence was going midway through, and I'm not getting it back. All right. Well, meanwhile, in net, this is where things get quite interesting to me, because it seems that Jordan Binnington is a lock, which he's not having a very good season in the NHL, but I still absolutely understand him being a lock with how he played in the Four Nations final and him being a
He's
guy
very
who
good
reliably can be trusted in those big games.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely understand what he's getting, or what has led to him being the lock for the roster. Other two spots, likely to be decided between three guys: Logan Thompson, Mackenzie Blackwood, and Darcy Kemper, from what I've heard, which, in my opinion, really what it should be is two spots locked up between Binnington and Logan Thompson, and that third spot being fought for between Kemper and Blackwood, and maybe have Wedgwood even in contention for that spot with how he's played this year, but more likely to be Blackwood anyway. I'm frustrated at the way Logan Thompson has just been cast aside and how he missed. And this, again, goes back to me having a lot of issues with how Hockey Canada do basically everything in their organization going back years now. The internal politics getting in the way of sporting decisions, along with, that's nowhere near the worst of their offenses, but we're not going to get into that now. The fact that, according to reports, the reason Thompson didn't make the Four Nations roster was because he had some kind of beef with Aiden Hill, and some people from the Vegas staff were on the decision-making team for that roster and opted to go with their guy in Aiden Hill over the clearly better goalie in Logan Thompson. The fact that still could potentially keep him off of a roster for the most important tournament we've played since 2014. What could possibly justify this? How are they this time going to come up with a way to decide to go with someone over Logan Thompson? At least this time it's going to be people like Wedgwood and Kemper potentially over Sam Montembeault being picked for no discernible reason, but wow. Find anything on the...
So far the youngest ones I found were 21.
Yep.
It was Drew Doughty in 2010.
Yep.
And Rick Nash in 2006.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roster for 2002. That's Austria. Canada. Simon Gagne was 21. That's the youngest there.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep looking into this because it's going to bug me.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the men's tournament, not the women's, right?
Yes.
Because I think there's a pretty good chance for an 18-year-old to make the women's Team Canada roster.
I feel like that's happened recently.
I think it should be Chloe Primerano.
Yeah, I know. I've heard
she should make it.
I've heard she's in contention at least. It was.
She should. It was between her and. Oh God, I should know.
When I was watching one of the rivalry series games, it was either pre-game or in the intermissions. They were talking about this, and somebody was saying on TSN that she's got a shot at making the Olympic team. Yeah.
I cannot remember.
Just speaking a little more.
The youngest person on 1998's team was Chris Pronger.
Okay, how old was he?
23.
23. Yeah, so just moving on. Just want to talk a little bit about the World Junior Tournament we've got going on right now, because first of all, I would like to give a little shout out for something positive before we get into all of my negativity about this tournament. Yes.
We have a 19-year-old.
Okay.
In 1994, Paul Correa. This is a very young roster. Wait. Was this a year where they let NHL players? I don't think so.
I think there was a long time where NHL players weren't going.
I don't think they made it till 1998. Okay, I'm looking this up.
Yeah.
It's women's. Yeah, no, 1998 was the first. Okay, so the youngest player so far, Drew Doughty, and Rick Nash.
Yeah. And like pre-NHL era, it probably would have been a lot more likely just because of who you had to call upon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's talk about the World Juniors. So, first of all, Canada right now have won every game. But the thing I'm going to highlight as a positive for this tournament, basically the only thing I'm going to say I've been enjoying so far about watching these Canada games has been the performance of Braden Coots, because in his limited minutes in the first couple games, he was one of few players who were just constantly playing with some energy and some enthusiasm. Like, actually looked like he wanted to be out there and wasn't doing any dumb stuff in his time on the ice. And paid off last game where he scored the second goal for Canada in a 9-1 victory over Denmark. But just throughout the first two games of this tournament in particular, and I wasn't able to watch too closely last night, so I don't know if there was anything more, just the way that Canada have been carrying themselves, and I know that these are kids, but my God, this has been nothing short of a giant embarrassment as a Canadian to watch how these guys are representing our country on a global stage. So we'll just run through kind of the big three moments that have irritated me. We'll go in chronological order. So the first one being Porter Martone. Flyers prospect Porter Martone, who is wearing the C for his country at this tournament, after putting away an empty netter to give Canada a 7-5 lead, which would win the game over Czechia, for I don't know what reason, just had a galaxy brain moment, decides to, as he's skating back to the Canadian bench, slap one of the Czech players on the ass, for which he is assessed an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and proceeds to look confused.
What? Power's Canadian?
Yeah. What, honestly, could have led to you thinking that it was a good idea to, as you're skating past someone, slap an opposing player on the ass? Not only that, in game 1 of the tournament against Czechia. What? Like, if it was an intense rivalry game against the United States or something in a final or a semifinal, okay, I can sort of see what might make, emotions running high. I can kind of see that. I get that this is a kid, but my God.
He's 20, right? He's 19 or 20?
19, I think. 18 or 19.
Grow up,
when you're
man.
doing this...
You're not a kid.
You're...
Like, I get it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. You go ahead.
I get that you're young and that young people make bad decisions. It happens. We've all done it. When you are wearing the C representing your country to an international market, you need to use your head. You cannot be doing stuff like that. And the fact that there was seemingly little to no discipline from Hockey Canada for acting like that and what would come next is honestly just embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna look up how old he is before I make any of these comments. I feel like people...
He was drafted in this past draft class.
He's 19, but October 06. Yeah. So, yeah, like, you're... Even though you are still, like, a teenager, technically, you need to have some class, you need to have some brain cells, you need to have some understanding of how your actions affect other people. And it's appalling to see the organization doesn't care about any improvements. I mean, obviously the hockey culture thing, it's an ongoing issue, but are we continuing to go backwards here? Not to loop this one guy's action. I want to stop calling them kids because, like, they are teenagers, and there will be people that call 13-year-old girls grown women in this world. And like it's a serious thing. They will call them that. Whereas we're supposed to treat these 20 somethings or 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, we're supposed to treat them like they're 5-year-olds. No, they are grown adults. They are allowed to join the army. They're allowed to get a firearm if their country allows it. They're allowed to drink in certain states. They're allowed
to vote.
They're allowed to vote. If you're allowed to vote, you should face the consequences of your goddamn actions and act like a goddamn adult. Like, it's ridiculous, and they get away with it because, oh, they're hockey players, oh, they're just having fun. No, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. You're representing your country on a national stage. This country has so much hockey history, and you're squandering it because, oh, it'd be funny to slap his ass. Grow a brain cell, a singular one. You suck at hockey too, so I don't know why you're celebrating an empty netter. I could skate better than your ass, okay? Frickin' Porter.
Just seeing this lead to the second thing that pissed me off, which was not shaking the Czech players' hands after the game.
Mm-hmm. Which Chris Pronger went and defended.
Didn't see that, but just the fact that any of that was allowed to happen without, like, there was an apology, but that's not enough.
And it's a Hockey Canada apology, so it's probably written by ChatGPT.
Probably.
Like, it's not, and yeah, Chris Pronger went and was just like, I don't know if this has ever been done in, like, international tournaments. And I'm like, okay, they do it every game. They also, like, you can have your issues. Nico Heischer's 27? Or he's going to be? Anyway, this is besides the point. I was just like, whoa. Like, it's a sportsmanship. Like, you can have your issues about what the PWHL does. They do it after every game, which, like, personally, I'm not a huge fan of, doing it after every game, but also, like, there is still that respect because a lot of these players play on the national teams together. A lot of these players have played on other teams, like pre-PWHL, because it's still, like, a new league.
Mm-hmm.
And in the NHL, we don't see this, obviously, because they're men and they're stupid, and they have no respect for others other than themselves, and they will try to kill each other if they do that after every game. But no, that's a thing they've done historically. I swear, at, like, every international tournament for years. Chris Parker's like, oh, we don't do that. Are you okay, Chris? Anyway. I'm so tired of thinking about hockey.
And then just the thing, honest to God, this might have been the one that pissed me off the most. So after the Latvia game, which came a year to the day after we lost to Latvia in the same tournament, we get taken to overtime by them again. Mm-hmm. And we needed a power play goal in overtime to get a win against Latvia.
Mm-hmm.
As Canada, where you came into this game as a massive favorite, needing to avenge a loss from a year ago, the appropriate reaction to needing to win in overtime, in my opinion, is go your ass back to the room right away and go talk about why you still needed overtime to beat them, because that, in and of its own, is a disappointing result if you had to do that against Latvia. Especially in a game where we just didn't... It's not like we got completely stonewalled by their goaltender and that's all. Their goaltender did play an excellent game. But also Latvia looked like the better team for a good chunk of that hockey game, which they should absolutely not be doing. The fact that after that overtime winner was scored, the whole team floods onto the ice celebrating like they've just won a semifinal and is celebrating in front of the Latvian penalty box is utterly ridiculous. Not one of you should look happy after that game. That is not a game to be celebrating. That is not a result to be proud of or happy about whatsoever. That is a failure. The fact that you had to get a power play goal in overtime to get past them. That is a failure on an international scale. Don't go out and celebrate that. what is this team? Now, last game they looked like they had reined it in a little bit more. I'm hoping the coach ripped them a new one for what they've been doing the last couple games. But my lord, this has just been a difficult watch so far.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Okay. I will say that we could say that it's like embarrassing to have tight games against Czechia or Latvia, or like I've seen a lot of comments about this, how it's embarrassing that a lot of these usually Eastern European nations or just European nations in general, but specifically I see it against Eastern European countries, especially now that like Russia's not allowed to compete, which is a whole other conversation. Like you see a lot of those conversations that it's like embarrassing for these big teams to lose to them or have tight games against them. I think it's honestly, you could have your issues with it for specifically like Canada and stuff like that, but I think it honestly should be hyped up a little bit more for those countries getting because in line with some of these like bigger programs, because like a lot of these countries don't have the same history is with hockey as Canada does or the United States does, except for they won a tournament in 1980 and had to call it a miracle. Like I think it should be like, yeah, Canada should be slightly embarrassed, especially of how they acted in that game against Latvia, but it also should be commendable that Latvia is able to play on par with Canadian teams.
And I mean it's definitely
play on par with US. Like I think it's cool to see more parity rather than Canada just run away with it and win 9-1 every game. Like it's more entertaining, honestly.
So my thing is, one, I just want to make it clear too, with regards to Czechia, that being a 2-goal game is not at all something I would say is, like embarrassing at all, because their program has come a long way. Like they are one of the best teams at this tournament now. They should be talked about in that same tier as Sweden and Finland.
And so has I think Sweden is like a step higher. Finland is on par with Czechia. I'd say
Finland, at least in terms of the World Juniors, I would look at Finland as a better team than Sweden.
Really?
They do better at these tournaments.
Yeah, they do better at these tournaments historically, yeah, but I think Sweden, I don't know if they get gold this year.
Like, I think Sweden has a higher standard of having these guys become more productive in the NHL.
Yeah.
But at the World Junior level, Finland, I would say, is probably the gold standard of these European teams that are at least still invited.
Yeah.
But also, like, Latvia's come a long way too, but they're coming from further back than Czechia, so it's a longer
road for them.
Become that level.
Like 10 years ago was like in 2015, I think it was Canada's like one of Canada's biggest wins was like 16-0 against Latvia, and to come this far in 10 years, even last year, like 9 years, beating them in the shootout, like I think that's also commendable.
Yeah.
And Latvian hockey has also taken a huge step in the last few years too. And I think that's really cool.
These programs should be proud of themselves for getting to the point where I can feel embarrassed about these results against them because they're happening. But also what I want to say is, like, as like a fan of the sport, it's definitely great. Like, I completely agree. It's great to see these programs stepping it up. Or even if you look at the results haven't been showing for them, but the way that Germany have been playing at this tournament, they've looked good. They're only going up. Like them, Latvia, like I've just said, they're on the up and up. But if you, as a Canadian who wants to see Team Canada win, if you look at the talent pool that we are drawing from versus what Latvia is coming from, where our entire roster nearly is constructed of guys who were first or second round picks or will be first or second round picks, versus Latvia having probably most of them not drafted into the NHL by now.
Can I also make a comment about that?
I just want to finish this.
Okay, yeah.
As a Canadian, just seeing the fact that we have such a strong talent pool compared to these teams, and we're still playing down to our opponents, and we have a culture that is allowing these players to just come in this cocky to tournaments and not take programs seriously. It's ridiculous. It's an absolute joke that we are doing this when we have the best talent pool in the world, probably. And we're not playing up to our own level.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment about what you said about the talent pool, because, yeah, it is huge for teams like Canada and the United States, and the United States has their own attitude issues, too. Like,
oh, yeah, totally.
They're Americans, though, so, I mean, not to... But the Canadians are acting like Americans, so what gives, anyway. I will say, part of it, yes, there are a lot of first and second round picks for Team Canada. That is true. It's also so much easier to scout in North America.
Yeah.
They have so many scouts. Like, it is rare for teams to have people in European countries, especially European countries that aren't like Sweden or Finland. Like, it's nearly impossible for them to do that. So, like, or it's not nearly impossible, but it's like pretty unheard of, unless these players have gotten to North America, because there's like a number of players, European players, that leave and go play in like the NCAA or the CHL or junior hockey over here.
Yeah, but a lot of the players on those rosters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Latvia in particular, I think most of their roster was not playing in Latvia. Most of them were in Sweden, Finland, and the USHL.
Yeah, no, still, but there's like...
But I think... There's also the other thing with the talent pool, too, is not just like scouting those countries. There's a lot more just hockey players. There's a lot more people in Canada than there are in Latvia. And there's a lot more people who play hockey. And I think from that you have a lot more talent just in raw numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more money in it. Because that money and investment in the game makes it a lot easier for that talent to develop into these players who can become incredibly good. Whereas, again, as things progress more in hockey in these other countries, things will start to improve on those levels.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, partially due to economic reasons.
Yeah.
Like, Latvia's... is not to say that it's a new country in the fact that Latvia didn't exist for the longest time. Because, like, Latvia did exist in some capacity. Like,
yeah.
It's just
like under the rule of
another country.
Soviet Union.
Under the rule of the Soviet Union. Yeah. So they've been independent, for lack of a better word, for a while. I mean, Canada still wasn't really a country until recently. Like, you can have so many arguments about countries and states, and we don't need to get into all of that right now, because I have some opinions. But like, Sidney Crosby's taller than I thought he was. You can have these conversations. I think it's honestly really cool to see countries like Latvia take these steps, because I come from a country that's, well, not me personally, but my family comes from a country that was under a similar situation. Well, kind of, not really. They were kind of the aggressors in a lot of these states. Anyway, that's another conversation for another time. But they, like, the emphasis that they put on, like, Latvian ice hockey, especially in the last few years after getting bronze in the World Championships, like, it's taken a big step, and I think it's cool to see, especially from these countries. And you said like they go to Sweden and Finland, but yeah, when the scouts go to Sweden and Finland, they're looking at the Swedish or Finnish guys. They're not necessarily always looking at the Latvians or the Swiss guys or the Germans. Like, there's that thing. There's also, I feel like it's also, they don't click as a team, because a lot of the European teams, they have national team breaks like soccer. Like, they do that because that's just normal to them. Whereas, like, in Canada, it's just like, oh, let's just pick these guys up from random teams in the NCAA and the Dub, QMJHL. Like, you bring all these guys together for a week, and you're supposed to get all of these egos, because junior hockey players have massive egos, especially in North America. And you try and get them to work on one cohesive project together. No, they're not mature. They have the brain cell of a seal, collectively, between most of them. And you expect them all to work together when they don't even respect the other players in their room. Like, there's one player I think is mature enough to be a hockey player on that team, or to be a human being on that team, and it's Braden Coots. And that's not bias or anything. It's just the way he conducts himself on the ice. Like, he's levels ahead of some of his teammates that are getting better minutes, that are getting leadership nods from coaching staff.
Like with what you're seeing from Coots on the ice and off it, he's not engaging in any of this dumb stuff. He's actually working hard. He's actually giving everything he can, and actually looks proud to be representing his country, whereas the others just seem like they're like somewhere between checked out and just completely off base on what this opportunity is. And I think more and more, just through watching this tournament, I am loving the Coots pick. Just because of what we're seeing from him in terms of his work rate and how he conducts himself. And I remember when he got drafted, there were people saying this is the future NHL captain.
Yeah, he acts like a grown-up.
Absolutely seeing why people are saying that about him.
He acts
he's acting
like a grown-up.
This as an 18-year-old when that's the environment you have around you and you're still carrying yourself like this. That's an encouraging sign.
Like, I was an embarrassing 18-year-old. I'm not going to get past that.
We all were.
But it's not on a national stage, and it's not with this level of pressure. Yeah, you can have your conversations. I mean, I wasn't playing hockey. I was on One Direction Twitter. So there's a bit difference between, our skill sets. But Braden Coots actually acts like an adult. And I think that's commendable compared to some of the players that are older than him in that room that have the C. That's my take. I think Hockey Canada should just absolve itself as an organization. Most Canadian sports organizations are absolutely embarrassing and should be taken over by something that's not a private equity firm, but I have a lot of other thoughts about that.
No, I mean, Hockey Canada, to me, I would completely agree with that point about most Canadian sports organizations being embarrassing. If you look at the way that Canada Soccer conducts their business, if you look at the embarrassment of how Rugby Canada have been run in recent years, if you look at even like
Canada
the recent rule changes in the CFL, those have been, just as a CFL fan, incredibly frustrating, and just the tone-deaf messaging from the organization in regards to what the fans actually want to see of this league has been embarrassing. Without a doubt, though, Hockey Canada is on its own level of embarrassing compared to these other organizations as a Canadian.
I think it's because it's on such a high pedestal.
No, totally. Because it is the sport that we as Canadians live and breathe and have loved for so long, that they have felt this immunity to anything. And it's just been allowed to fester over years without anyone coming in to check them. And it's just
like, even
the
when
fact that you can see this happening just shows how irredeemable this organization feels right now.
Yeah, and then when they come in to check them, they get away with it anyway. Like, need I remind you, Carter Hart is playing in the NHL again. There's no consequences for anything that you do. The only reason Jake Virtanen is not in the NHL is because he sucks at hockey. Like, Evander Kane still plays hockey. Patrick Kane still plays hockey. There are a number of players that are still in this league, and I'm not saying it's because Patrick Kane's obviously American. I'm not saying that it's just a Canadian problem, but it is specifically the emphasis that Canadians put on the sport. And like you said, it is the sport that is mostly aligned, that most Canadians aligned with their national identity. And yeah, that's a fact. Like, a lot of you hear it from, I mean, it was a line and heated rivalry in the first episode. I'm also like, but like also from like my family's experience, like when people immigrate to Canada, a lot of the times to feel Canadian is watching hockey. Like, I watched hockey. I watched the gold medal game at my grandparents' house. My grandparents, who moved here in the 70s from Yugoslavia, where hockey wasn't really like, it was, they had a team, they had a national team, and Serbia actually still hosts a lot of like the lower division world championships, and they're like, there's like 1 or 2 rinks in Belgrade, and yeah, sometimes I watch those games. It's just fun. It's cool to see, like, on a national scale. But yeah, it's specifically the pedestal that's put on hockey in this country. I think that's why it gets away with a lot more than the Canada Soccers, the Rugby Canadas, the CFLs, because not everyone in Canada is a CFL fan. Not everyone in Canada is a rugby fan. Not everyone in Canada is a soccer fan. Not everyone's like tennis, like everything. Almost, it would be hard to go to a Canadian town and not find a hockey fan. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, just like, I think last game, the little bits I saw were a bit more encouraging in terms of how the guys were behaving themselves. I think
it was also hopefully they were winning 9-1 against Denmark.
Well, that, but also even from the bounce, it seemed like they were more in it, which partially does have to do with, again, the quality of opponent, because the Danes do not nearly have the same talent on the roster as Canada does. But also,
it's also
just
a very small country.
Again, very small country. Hockey has not been as big of a thing there.
This is their first time in the top division since 2019.
Yeah, but I think they actually, like, the guys looked actually locked in this game from the jump in a way they haven't this tournament. So I'm hoping that at least somebody was able to say, okay, this is not good enough. This is not an attitude. Someone on the coaching staff, I think, because the way they were carrying themselves, even with what hockey players get away with, hockey coaches are not going to be happy with how these guys were acting. I'm hoping someone on the coaching staff said, okay, if you guys actually want to win this tournament, we need to actually lock in, look like we want to be here, look like we're ready to play at this level.
Part of me is hoping that again that Jerome McGinley did a video call from his son's phone and that would be great.
But just like, if this attitude we've seen in the first two games keeps up, when we're playing the United States, when we're playing Finland, when we're playing Sweden or someone like that in a pressure game, where the stakes are higher, and we continue to play with this ego and everything, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, Canada's not the best in hockey anymore. We have to admit that. Like, in certain aspects, Canada is, but as a whole, this country, when it comes to like the World Juniors, it's not the same as it was. And
See, I don't even necessarily agree with that, because I think we do still have
in certain aspects, yeah, like in the Olympics and the Four Nations, in those bigger international tournaments, not the World Championships, because that doesn't really align with the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, like we can't have our best players there,
which is another conversation in and of itself. That we're just undermining the ruling body for international ice hockey. Anyway, yeah, like it's not. I'm not saying that Canada sucks at hockey, because obviously we have the best hockey player alive right now, and Sidney Crosby, and Nathan McKinnon and Macklin Celebrity. Like, we have all these amazing hockey players, but it has to start somewhere, and where it's starting right now isn't promising for Canada in 10, 20 years down the line. Yeah,
so I would honestly say, like, I think we absolutely have it in us to be the best at this still. Like, there's nothing that has changed that makes me think we cannot continue to be the best like we have been. And I still think we have the best talent coming through.
I will also...
But we are just so poorly run, yeah.
I can also make a comment. So, the US, they have their own egotistical issues because, of course, they're junior hockey players. They're all, frankly, assholes. As someone who's been around a lot of junior hockey players, they all have this aura about them. But the US actually feels like a team. Well, compared to, like, the way the team kind of rallied, there was, not to, like, point this out, because obviously it was, like, a very scary moment for Team USA, but, like, when Cole Hudson went down during the game, who was against Switzerland? It was against Switzerland. Yeah. Like, the team, it looked like they cared about each other.
Well, but...
And I don't know if the same thing would happen with Team Canada.
And that's largely because you say they actually feel like a team. A lot of them came up with the national development team.
Yeah.
So they have, at least at some level, these guys have been teammates or are actively teammates somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they absolutely do. They are like a team because they are a team.
Yeah, like a lot of
We're just a collection of players.
you see it a lot with because they're like, oh well, the CHL, that'll be the development way for Canadian players. But it's like, no, because they're all on different teams, so they all
Yeah.
have their own issues with each other.
Like, I love having the CHL. It's a fantastic thing to have. But for something like this, the way other nations are doing it is way ahead of where we're at.
Specifically the U.S., because there's so many players that went to the USND National Team Development Program. I forgot the acronym for a second. And then they go off to junior or college. Like you see it, you saw it with, like, I'm gonna use a Quinn Hughes example. Like or just in general, a lot of the guys that went to the National Team Development Program are all still friends.
Yeah.
They're also, they could be playing, like, they're still, like, off the ice, you can have the conversations about these people. And I'm not going to make any comments right now, but, like, the Jack Hughes, Cole Caulfield, Trevor Zegras, like, that trio, like, that they're still close. They went to the Montreal GP a few years ago. Like, the fact that they are making these friendships, whereas Team Canada, they're just kind of thrown together.
Yeah. Or, like, using, damn it, another Quinn Hughes example.
Mm-hmm. Him and Brady Tkachuk?
Him and Brady Tkachuk.
Him and Josh Norris?
While he was still a Vancouver Canuck, there were rumors that if Quinn Hughes hit free agency, instead of going to join his brothers in New Jersey, he was potentially going to look to go somewhere and be teammates with Brady Tkachuk and have them both sign for the same team somewhere. Now, obviously, hasn't come to fruition. He could still hit free agency. Not our problem anymore. But this method is doing so much, or like they're doing in Europe where they have international breaks and you get the national team together to play at things other than the World Juniors, or, you know, having a 1 week camp, which I think I loved how we did our camp this year, where we brought a small camp roster so that the guys would have time to get to actually play with their teammates instead of being at camp just with a bunch of guys who are going to get cut. It's an improvement. But this team, for years, since really the year we had Connor Bedard on the team single-handedly take over the tournament, the problem at these tournaments has been just looking disjointed.
Yeah, and I think that's because you're having a bunch of clashing egos.
Like, you have a bunch of clashing egos, and these people don't know each other.
Yeah, and you had, like, Connor Bedard running away with the tournament. That's because they basically allowed him to, because they knew he was Connor freaking Bedard.
Because like, he was the best player on the ice every time he stepped on it. Yeah,
and, like, there's just so many things I could say about junior hockey in this country, but it starts from the organization and bottom up, and they need to get a handle on these kids, or else they're all going to be issues.
So what I would say, going back to the point about Canada's not the best country at hockey anymore, you were saying, I disagree. I think we are still the best country at hockey. We have one of the worst run organizations. Like you said, yes, exactly. We have one of the worst run organizations in hockey taking the country that is the best at hockey and capping our ability to actually take advantage of that and take those steps to actually be a team. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have another comment to make. They because they were 5th place, they got a really bad location for their dressing room, and they're all complaining about it. Dude, that's the norm for women's tournaments. So,
and I'll add to this too. If you don't want to be stuck in a bad dressing room position, don't finish 5th.
Yeah, but
if you don't want to get, the treatment of a team that didn't do well last year, then do better.
Even if the team is first, they're still going to have those things that happen in the women's game, because women's games are treated much worse than the men's teams, because, like, why not? Everyone in society hates women, and men are the pinnacle of everything in good in society. And even though, society is crumbling around us, we should still highlight men over anything else, because
just like the entitlement it shows to be like, hey, we don't like where we're stuck. Okay, be better at the thing you're there to do.
It's like Sauber complaining about their stop in the pit lane. Do better.
Yeah.
It's
like, at the end of the day,
it's night.
I get it. But also, in addition to it being night, at the end of the day, if you don't do your job, you don't get treated like the people that did their jobs the right way.
Yeah, this comment is made a lot when it comes to refereeing. It's like, if I don't do my job properly, I lose my job. Which I don't think applies to hockey, because once again, they get infinite chances, especially in Canada. But like, yeah, if you don't do your job properly, you're not going to get the same benefits as other people that do their jobs properly. So,
like, just because you are Canada doesn't mean you can walk in and expect to be treated like these gods when you don't get the results on the ice.
You're not Sidney Crosby. You're Noah Juleson. Actually, I don't want to slander Noah Juleson.
You're Porter Martone.
You're not Sidney Crosby. You're not the second coming of McJesus. Calm down.
Like, being Canada does come with these benefits, but if you don't live up to the benefits that come with it, what makes you think you deserve them? Pure entitlement. That is all you get in Hockey Canada.
It's entitlement. It's across the board. But yeah, specifically Hockey Canada.
Just fostering this culture of entitlement.
Yeah, and you can have your comments about the U.S. and National Team Development Program, but at least these guys know each other's first names.
Yeah, like, the U.S. has their own ego problems, but at least they're able to foster results.
I feel like that's also part of, like, the American psyche, is, like, they're the ones that have the ego issues, and then Canada's like, oh, the nice little ones. Whereas, like, no. Canada, like, you need to step up. Not act like you did in World War I, but, you know. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts and comments to make about junior hockey as a whole, but I am going to refrain from doing that and focus on making a little sweater for John Cena.
I'm going to... Can you see it? No, you can't see it.
No.
And just before we go, I want to quickly talk about what will be the final week of the NFL season coming up, because we've got some big matchups here. Believe 3 games here that will decide who wins a division. With the two teams in contention for their respective divisions being the ones taking on each other. So first of all, Saturday at 1:30, we have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
But no one wants that division. It's
in
so
a game that could see the winner of a division hosting a playoff game with an 8-9 record.
It's so
because
funny.
If the Bucs win, they will host a playoff game.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's amazing. The Panthers, I want to see the Bucs win because I feel like they're just a more fun team to watch when they're on, but this is going to be... That's going to be a mess of a game.
I regularly forget that the Carolina Panthers exist.
Gonna skip to Sunday Night Football, where the Ravens will be taking on the Steelers for the AFC North Championship. I think, personally, the Steelers will lose to fulfill their quest of finishing 9-8 this year. But the Ravens have just looked like anything but the Ravens this year. Weak defense, not playing physical football. We'll see what happens. But then the one that really matters to me. Saturday night at 5 o'clock.
It's the 49ers.
The Seattle Seahawks taking on the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, that was a joke!
For the NFC West. Everyone lock in. Just hoping... If the Seahawks offense shows up, I am feeling real good about this one because I love the idea of Brock Purdy taking on the Death Zone.
Yeah, field goals, 18 field goals ain't gonna cut it, buddy.
Listen.
Nope, 6 field goal. I'm gonna shut up now.
Listen, Brock Purdy is a game manager. If the Seahawks defense can put the pressure on that game manager, he is not managing that game.
I'll take your word for it.
This is a defense that I have not felt so strongly about since seeing the Seahawks defense in 2013. This is a defense that can take on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy is certainly anyone.
I was too busy party rock antheming. That was 2013. What was big in 2013? That was the mustaches. I was too busy drawing mustaches on everything.
Sure. All right.
Do you remember
With that all being
Justice?
said, I think we should wrap up the show for this week. Thank you all for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Nux Chronicles. Please like and subscribe to the show, even though this episode was an absolute disjointed mess.
I think that's why they keep coming back. They never know what to expect.
Probably is. The Chroncast is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Go Hawks. Have a good week. Thank you for listening. Probably hit stop.